You don't lose progress because you had a slice of cake. You lose progress because you weren't in control of that decision. You see, there's a difference between choosing an indulgence and falling into one, between planning a deviation and being pulled into one by stress, emotion, or old habits. So today you're going to be taking your power back, right? Because when you choose the deviation, it builds your identity. When the deviation chooses you, it chips away at that identity. You see the difference? When you choose the deviation, it builds your identity. When the deviation chooses you, it chips away at your identity. So today's about mastery. It's about ownership and never letting your weakest moment make decisions your strongest self will regret. Welcome to another episode of Monday Motivation, or as I like to call it, Mindset and Motivation. And today we're talking about one of the most overlooked secrets of lasting transformation. Right? This is the number one habit I teach my clients. Plan the deviations. Don't let them happen accidentally. You got to plan those deviations. You can't let them happen accidentally, right? Your 80-20 rule, 80% of the time you're on plan, 80% of the week is 6 days. That other day, which is the 20%, you get to plan. You can plan a deviation. One deviation day, however, is one meal, one deviation meal. So understand that this is the difference between someone who makes progress for a season and someone who transforms for life. When you plan those deviations, you don't let them happen accidentally. It's the progress between someone who makes temporary progress, right? And that's the difference. Versus someone who transforms for life. This is the difference between guilt and growth. Identity collapse and identity strengthening. We want to focus on identity strengthening. When you plan, you are in charge. When you fall into things, it just happens to you. It chips away at your identity because it chips away at your confidence. It leads to guilt and shame, and it breaks you down. It takes you backward. Those accidental deviations are taking you backwards, right? So what's a deviation? A deviation is any moment where you step outside of your plan. And your plan isn't a diet. Remember, you are the program. And as such, you are the plan. So there's a way that you eat, because that is the way that your future self eat. There are things that you do, right? Your life is built around non-negotiables. What are those non-negotiable habits? And when you step outside of those non-negotiables, the things you don't often eat because it's not part of your plan, it's not taking you forward. The dessert, a drink, alcohol, a late night snack, a skipped workout, a bigger meal with friends, these things aren't the problem, right? Your body can easily handle them. But here's the truth. The unplanned deviations carry emotional weight. Planned deviations do not. I want you to understand that those unplanned deviations carry emotional weight and planned deviations do not. If you choose the deviation, you stay empowered. If you fall into the deviation, you feel defeated. I want you to think about that. Think about that the last time you fell into one of those deviation and it just happened. Did you feel empowered? Or did you feel pretty defeated? You see the difference? It's about identity, not calories. Identity determines momentum, and I have used this word 1,000 times in the past few months. It's about identity, not calories, because identity determines momentum. And I want you to really internalize the fact that when you fall into those deviation, it leaves you feeling defeated. But when you choose those deviation, You feel empowered. And I see it all the time, every week on my group calls. I see the people who choose their deviations and how happy and empowered they feel that, hey, they were able to deviate and get right back on plan, as opposed to the clients who fall into their deviations and, it wasn't unplanned. It was just something that happened. And I hear the defeat in their voice. I hear how defeated they feel. I hear the guilt. I hear the shame that they weren't strong enough. You see the difference? Those unplanned deviations carry emotional weight, and that's what's chipping away at your identity. So, intentional indulgence, guys, it builds trust. When you plan your indulgences, you decide what it will be. You decide when it will be. You decide how much of it you want. You enjoy it without guilt. You return to your plan with zero drama, right? This is actually strengthening your consistency muscle. Why? Because you just proved three things. One, you're in control. Two, you can enjoy life while staying committed. Three, food doesn't own you. You own food. That's identity reinforcement. That's momentum. And that's what you get to practice here over the holidays, right? That you are in control. You can enjoy life while staying committed, and food doesn't own you. You own food because you're going to be around a lot of it over the next couple weeks, right? This is the season. But on the other hand, you see those accidental deviations, they create chaos. Accidental deviations come from stress, boredom, social pressure, emotional triggers, old habits. Screw it, I already messed up thinking. These deviations are reactive. They are driven by the old you, and they leave behind a trail of guilt, shame, loss of momentum. I'll start over tomorrow, overcorrection and restriction. The deviation itself isn't the problem, guys. The unconscious autopilot that caused it is. So the mindset shift to help you take your power back. Here it is. Food is not in control of me. Emotions are not in control of me. I am in control of me. Food is not in control of me. Emotions are not in control of me. I am in control of me. Remember, your emotions get a seat in the car. They don't get to drive. I want you to remember that one. Your emotions get a seat in the car. They don't get to drive. You don't eliminate indulgences, guys. You schedule them. You don't avoid social events. You plan for them. You don't fear triggers. You prepare for them. When you plan the deviation, you turn it into a tool. When you don't plan it, it becomes a trap. When you plan the deviation, you turn it into a tool. When you don't plan it, it turns into a trap. That is what I have my clients do every single week. Plan those deviations. You have your plan. You know what you eat. Eating the right foods in the right amounts at the right time. When you deviate from that, well, you plan it as a deviation every single time. Why? It puts you in control. And that's what you want. You are in control of your food. You're in control of when you do it. And you see, this is about rewiring your identity. I don't fall off, I make decisions. I don't slip, I choose. I don't lose control, I stay in command. That's who you're becoming. I don't fall off, I make decisions. I don't slip, I choose. I don't lose control, I stay in command. That is who you're becoming. When you plan those deviations, that is who you're becoming. So here's a 3-step deviation plan. Number 1, anticipate. Ask yourself, what events are coming up? Where might I want to indulge? What environments trigger me? When you anticipate, nothing surprises you because you show up with a plan. And remember, if you Those who fail to plan to fail. You got to have a plan. So I ask you to write down all those events you've got coming up over the next 2 weeks, over the holidays, and plan for every single one of them. What are you going to do? Are you going to plan a deviation, or are you going to be on plan? Number 2, decide, choose ahead of time what the indulgence will be. How much feels good, not restrictive. When will it happen? This removes guilt and builds confidence, right? That's what you do. You anticipate, you decide. Number 3, you return. After the indulgence, you return to your plan at your very next meal. Not tomorrow, not Monday, not after the holidays, next meal. This is how professionals think. This is how transformation happens. You recommit at your next meal. Not tomorrow. Your next meal. Right? You see, all this reinforces your identity. All right? So say this with me. I don't fall into deviations. I plan them. Food is a decision, not an accident. I choose how I show up, even during the indulgence. One choice doesn't define me. My identity does. This is the mindset of someone who wins, not for 1 week, not for a season, but for life. That is what we're here to do. So your challenge for the week, guys. Well, before I give you the challenge for the week, let's remind you how you deal with those deviation. 3 steps. Number 1, anticipate. Number 2, decide. Number 3, return. Anticipate. Write them down. Figure when are they going to be. You need to know when they are. You need to decide if you're going to indulge. You need to plan it. The way I ask you to plan those deviations is, number 1, if you're going to deviate at dinner, enjoy some starchy carbs, a glass of wine, some dessert, whatever it is. Replace the starchy carbs the rest of the day with more veggies. Replace the starchy carbs the rest of the day with more veggies, right? So you see, you are staying consistent anyway, right? Because you're pretty much keeping what you're eating, your intake, neutral when you do that. So that's the point. So you anticipate, you decide, you return. So the challenge of the week is to identify one area where deviations happen accidentally for you. Maybe it's on weekends, you're hanging out with family and friends. Maybe it's when you're stressed. Maybe it's social pressure, when you're around others, right? You haven't learned how to deal with those things yet. So number 2, you're going to plan your next indulgence intentionally. Pick the food, pick the time, pick the moment, enjoy it guilt-free. Plan. You're going to plan your next indulgence. Number 3, return to your plan immediately. Not tomorrow, not the next day, not next week, not after the holidays, but immediately at your next meal. Right? You see, identity is not about impulse. Identity has got to be greater than impulse. Choices have got to be greater than emotions. Ownership has got to be greater than autopilot. So the bottom line is, guys, you're not here to be perfect. You are here to be powerful. You're not here to be perfect. You are here to be powerful. Powerful people make decisions. Powerful people plan. Powerful people take ownership of their journey. This week, you're not just managing your food, you're mastering your identity. That is what we're doing over the holidays here. We are mastering identity. So remember, success isn't built by restriction, it's built by intention. Success isn't built by restriction, it's built by intention. Plan your deviation, stay in control, and keep becoming the strongest, more aligned version of yourself. You got this. The holiday is going to be here every year. You are a master of you. Because remember, powerful people make decisions, they plan, they take ownership of their journey. So this week, you're not just managing your food. I want you to tell you that. I want you to remember that over the holiday season, the next few weeks, you're not just managing your food, you're mastering your identity. You're practicing mastery by making decisions, by planning, by owning your journey. So you go out there and you dominate this week. You got this. Hope this has been helpful.